everyone, and thank you for joining us this week for Joy in Our Town. I'm Aaron Motley. Joy in Our Town brings you information regarding the issues and problems we face in our local communities in hopes of finding some solutions. On the first portion of our program, we're talking about crime, and we have with us on this portion of the program Montgomery Police Chief Art Baylor. He's going to talk to us about the department's recently launched website, which is designed to help neighborhood associations and residents keep a watch on their home and neighborhoods. He'll talk to us about the growing concern for gun control, and it's also said that most unintentional firearms related deaths are caused by children, and we're going to talk about that too. And we thank you for being with us on the program today.
Thanks.
And let's start off by just talking about this website that is recently launched. When did it begin? In January of this year?
December 28th of last year.
Okay, December 28th. What is the purpose of this website?
Well, the purpose of the website is to let the citizens know what's going on in their communities and what's going on in their city. I've been working on this along with the staff of the police department to get the technology to do that. It's a very simplistic way of putting it out there, and what we want to do is take it even farther, but we have to get the money, we have to get the technology there within the police department. But it's a great tool for the citizens, and especially the associations, the neighborhood associations, to look at what's going on in their surrounding communities.
Okay, and when you go to this website, what kind of things would you see concerning your neighborhood? And also tell us, how would the citizens really use this information?
Well, just for instance, if there was a neighborhood A, and they live in a certain district, they usually know what council district they live in. So they'll look on there. They might not know a police district, but when they look on there and they live in District X, they can look on there and see what crimes happen in their district. And they can see, well, we had 3 burglaries and 1 robbery that happened within a certain radius of my home or our little neighborhood. And they can say, well, and when they read on there, the door was left unlocked.
Oh, okay.
Those kind of things. They can assist the police, because that's how we've helped try to take the crime rate down, is through citizens' participation.
Okay, good. So it's not a matter of them looking on the website and saying this crime is taking place in our community, this is happening, let's get out. But it's a matter of what can we do to get involved so that we can, keep crime down. And some of it is because of carelessness, like you were saying, people leaving their doors unlocked and things of that nature.
We get a number of so-called burglaries, some robberies and so forth, because citizens won't help themselves. Now, a bad guy shouldn't go in your house if it's left, if every window's unlocked and everything. We understand that. But we know most of the people in Montgomery they are good people and do a good job. They go out and work, go to school, whatever they need to do, and they do it a tremendous job in that. But there's a small percentage of people that are opportunists. And that's where we're trying to show the citizens, if you're not at home, lock your door. If you go to the mall or to a shopping center, lock your car door. Don't leave your purse and gun sitting on the front seat, and your driver's license and your social security cards sitting on the front seat of your car, and your car's unlocked. You shouldn't have it in view anyway, but and your car's unlocked. People will take advantage of you. That small percentage will take advantage of you.
Just a sign of the times that we're in, and we just have to face reality as far as that is concerned. What about the neighborhood associations when they get together and they talk about some things that's going on in their neighborhood? How again will they utilize this website?
Well, if neighbors, the strongest crime prevention tool that we have is neighbors watching out for neighbors. We have a crime prevention unit that's all they do is go out and tell people their weaknesses, their strong points within their homes, their businesses, and so forth. But if they get together, if you have a neighborhood of 100 homes and those homes are united, they'll run them to another neighborhood, whether it's in this city or another city, but they will run the bad guys to that neighborhood, because the bad guys usually don't want to get caught. They want to, as we call it on the streets, they want to hit and get. They want to hit the place, go in and steal a computer or whatever, and get out of there so they can go buy guess what? Usually drugs.
Okay, and then just looking at the once again the times that we're living in, and knowing that people are going high tech and using computers for literally everything. Why not use a computer to help fight crime and to get and for the neighbors to just get involved in helping one another?
Yeah.
And this is wonderful.
The website is something that I've really been trying to do for a while. We just had to get the police department up to the technology threshold to get there. Now, I will be honest with you, what I'm really shooting for, and it's going to be a little bit down the road, is if you can just pull up your address, and then you can look around you, and you can look on that website one day. It's not there yet, but you can say, oh, okay, we had 3 crimes on my street, 3 crimes here, and be very good for neighborhood associations, because they can look at their whole little neighborhood instead of a whole district and see what's going on in their neighborhood and help prevent the crime in their neighborhood.
Okay, well, wonderful, Chief. That is just one of the new innovative things that you all are doing as far as trying to help the citizens to help one another. Something else that you brought with you, a copy of your new newsletter that has recently come out, and tell us about the purpose of the police department having a newsletter.
The newsletter started in April of 2005. When I came on to the police department, I wanted citizens to know what was going on in the police department. And I really wanted them to know the facts. A number of times on news programs, they give what they have, but they really don't give all the facts. What you have there is something that we publish, usually quarterly, and it's been a great success because citizens usually pick them up like hotcakes, and we put them out at different restaurants and stores and so forth. And they tell me they go real fast.
I'm sure they do, because some of us just started finding out about these, and it's been out since 2005, and so a lot of folks this is just something that it adds to people getting an understanding of what is going on and what the police department is doing to improve situations in our own town. There is a growing concern for gun control, and I'd like you to address that too while you're here today. What's happening as far as gun control is concerned in the Montgomery area?
Well, I'm not sure when you say gun control, there's too many weapons in bad people's hands. We have constitutional rights. We have a right to bear arms and so forth under the Constitution. No police officer basically is against that. But we do have a problem with the bad guys having weapons. What we are looking to do is something similar to what the federal government does, and we take quite a few people to the federal government, to the federal courts, under what we call the ICE program.
Okay.
If you
explain ICE.
ICE is when you commit a crime with a weapon, and we can link that, we can take it to the federal system. Now, pretty much in the federal system, if you get 10 years, you serve 10 years. So to show the criminal that we're not playing, we do our best to, if they meet the federal criteria, we'll take them to the ICE program, to a program that will give them pretty much day for day if they're sentenced to something. The other side to that is we want to do something very similar to that with the state also.
Okay.
And we're working on things like that. We're working with the district attorney's office and so forth.
Okay. In our area, we have heard about young people, little children, sometimes getting a hold of a weapon, and sometimes even accidentally shooting someone, and sometimes people end up dying. Tell us about, have we seen much of that in our area recently?
We hadn't seen that many people dying, but we do have children out robbing people.
What age when you're talking about children? The youngest?
The youngest that I can remember right offhand was, I think, 12 years old.
Okay.
And that's a kid.
Yeah.
That is a kid. And here's the sad story on that is I have a staff meeting every morning with each division, which there's basically 10 divisions that I deal with, and one is juvenile.
Yeah.
Long story short is the 12-year-old tried to rob or either robbed someone. And I say, that is sad. And the juvenile division commander looked at me and shook his head. He said, not really. I went, you got to be kidding. He said, well, Chief, what I really mean by that is the first time we dealt with this guy with a gun, he was 8 years old.
Oh, wow. It's the same person.
And that's a problem. Repeat offenders, and repeat offenders is juveniles. So juvenile laws will have to be looked at in the long run, because crimes have changed and the ages of people that are committing crimes have changed.
Okay.
To be younger.
Yes, yes, and I see your point there. And also, and speaking of guns, sometimes even police officers are in harm's way every day, of course. And do you feel that you know, in wake of some of the recent police shootings, and there's not a whole lot of them, I don't suppose, but do you find that some of the people in the different departments may feel a little bit on edge when they're going out?
Well, most police officers go out and do their jobs.
Yeah.
They know the danger, the inherent danger of being a police officer. But we have to be careful. That's why we do so much training with the police officers.
Yeah.
Some citizens don't understand that. They say, I'm not a criminal. But when we stop you, whether it's day or night, but especially like at night, we can't see your hands, we can't see anything. It's not that we think you're a criminal, but we don't know who we're stopping out there. So police officers are very careful, because police officers have families and they want to go back home to their families also. And some people take that the wrong way. If a police officer ever mistreats anyone, they need to notify myself or one of my staff members or internal affairs, and we will check into it. One of the things we're trying to do now, and we're trying to even put them on motorcycles, we're trying to put cameras in almost everything that we have that's marked, which will give the citizen side and the police officer side. In addition to looking out for the citizen's safety, you really have to look out for your own safety as well, and that's all a part of it. And we want to keep as many of you guys out there out of trouble yourselves so that you can take care of us. Right. We appreciate you for doing a wonderful job, Chief, and thank you for all the information. We're just out of time. Thank you, sir. Okay, Chief Baylor, and we thank you for being with us on Joy in Our Town today. You're welcome. We'll have you back on sometime soon, I'm sure. Thank you for joining us for this portion of Joy in Our Town. We will return in just a moment with more right after this. Thank you for joining us for this second half of Joy in Our Town. We have with us Ken Groves, and he is the Director of Planning and Development for the City of Montgomery, and he's here today to talk to us about the local economy with emphasis on the recently unveiled master plan to revitalize the downtown area of Montgomery. We thank you for being with us today. Thank you for having me. And it is a pleasure to have you with us today. There's a lot of folks looking at the changes all around the city, but particularly downtown, and wondering, well, what is it all about? How long is it going to take? But I just want to start with asking you, why was it so important to revitalize the downtown area? Well, it's essential to keeping this city alive as a functioning urban center. Mayor Bright had a vision when he got elected the first time, and he recruited me to come here and help implement that vision. And the vision was, we need to save our downtown first, because that belongs to all of the city. Black, white, we all grew up there. I remember going down to Belk Hudson's on Dexter Avenue when I was a kid and getting outfitted for school. And it is the central core of the city. It's the one place in this entire region that's unique. It's a real place. It's an urban environment. Look at all of the things that have happened on Dexter Avenue. The start of the Civil War, the start of the Civil Rights Movement, everything. That's Alabama Street. And it is absolutely essential to, preserve those memories and celebrate them. And that's what makes this a unique place. And we have, unfortunately, some underused buildings and some vacant buildings.
And we need to bring back the life that was this community in years past for everybody to have and enjoy. And that's the one thing we can do. You know, a lot of the newer communities in the suburbs don't offer that richness that we have right here in our downtown area.
Okay, and that seems to be important to everyone.
It is important to everyone. Young and old, rich and poor, everybody.
Yeah. How much is this going to cost?
Well, is it going to cost government a lot of money? Government can't pay for it all. I mean, the cost will be tremendous over the years. But the purpose of our downtown plan was to unleash the power of the private market. Without private investment, without new startup businesses, young entrepreneurs coming in and doing small projects, without the ability to attract big projects to our bigger buildings downtown, we're going to have a hard time. Now, we have, since Mayor Bright was elected, he started a campaign of doing some necessary public improvements. And our first plan was the Riverfront District Plan, and that's the plan that laid out we need to do the baseball stadium and the amphitheater and the riverfront and the convention center and hotel and several other projects, the intermodal transportation center. And those things are all underway and coming out of the ground as we speak. And, and that is a significant public investment. What this plan attempts to do, or will do over time, is enhance all of that effort with private investment. Small shops, coffee shops, little restaurants, creation of an entertainment district, and housing downtown. There is a market for it. We had a housing market analysis done as part of this plan. And it was done by Zimmerman Volk. And it's the same firm they've done about 45 of these around the country, including Birmingham. You're familiar, I'm sure, with Birmingham and their downtown housing and all of the lofts. Well, this same firm did the study for them that started them on that venture. They have found we do have a housing market here, that we could handle about 1,700 to 2,000 units if we had them today. In 2006 and 2007, downtown, they would likely be occupied. Our annual absorption rate is going to be about 200 units a year. And so we're planning to encourage that housing downtown in several ways. One of them is to adopt, or we've already implemented, the International Existing Building Code. That makes it financially feasible and much more practical to reuse the old buildings. And the other is we're going to put our SMART code into place and adopt this plan, which will actually help get things done. We're coming up with a new land use regulatory scheme for downtown. And the reason we need to do that is when zoning was invented, it was invented to separate uses one from another in an era when we didn't have Clean Air Act and Clean Water Act. And that practice of separation has caused problems for downtown. And the minimum requirements for development of a parcel, they're really good out in the eastern part of our town, but in a downtown they have a deleterious effect. So what we're doing is putting in code that will enable us to build the good urban space that downtown Montgomery used to be. And that further uncomplicates things for the private market. And you know, it's not about the $20 million project anymore. We've done some of those, and we'll do more when we have the opportunity. But we need the $200,000 project. You know, that things that people can afford, especially our younger people coming on now, things that they can manage and get people using downtown and living there, eyes on the street, and make it once again a real place.
Okay, wonderful. And while we're in the process of getting the downtown area revitalized, folks are spread out in other areas of town, and of course, it seems like the further east you go, you know, everything's, you know, cost more, and it's a little bit making it less affordable for some people to live in. What do you say about Montgomery? Is this a city that is prospering?
We're a city that's prospering. We've really got a lot. We have a lot of poverty, admittedly. The latest census figure shows that our poverty rate is increasing. But our median household income is also increasing. We're right at the national average, well ahead of the state average. And so you have to say, well, here's a city, we got a lot of poor folks, we must have a lot of folks that have adequate means to do something. And that's true, and that's kind of our blessing that we have that, because it enables us to provide services to people who otherwise wouldn't have them, and to work on of making housing affordable. And close to downtown, we have some neighborhoods where we can do that with infill housing so that everybody can live there, not just those who have adequate means, but those who might need a little help too, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. What about something short term as far as helping those people? We're looking at folks who are working and they are trying to provide for their families, and yet it's very hard to make ends meet. And we're finding sometimes whole families who are not even able to afford their homes, and they're being put out on the streets. We're getting a lot of homeless people out there too.
That's true.
Well, what's happening?
We have actually some award-winning programs for the homeless in the city of Montgomery. It's been one of our successes. We did one of the first plans to end chronic homelessness in the United States. It was a big initiative that HUD caused to happen. And Montgomery did one of the first. And we have actually had in the last 4 years a decrease in chronic homelessness. And that's totally counter the national trend, especially for smaller cities like Montgomery. Some of the big cities have had a little bit of success, but we were recently invited to present what we have been doing to a called convention in Philadelphia that HUD sponsored, and we've done some best practices presentations for HUD on how we do that. And basically what we do is just good ordinary stuff. It's the kind of stuff people have learned how to do, but we just keep at it. We make sure that all of our homeless services providers are funded as well as they can. And that's going on right now. We also have some affordable housing initiatives. In our Weed and Seed area, we're going to try to redevelop a former apartment complex and make a community of smaller single-family affordable residences. And that will be the next thing to see directly benefiting West Montgomery. You know, nobody knows how to do housing in West Montgomery. We've tried working with developers and everything else, and we've just decided we need to take a little initiative and lead the way and demonstrate how to do this. So we're working with our community housing development organizations. They'll actually partner with the city. We've bought a site. We're having a design done for that now, and we'll build an older traditional neighborhood back where one used to be. And we will learn from that experience what the price points are that we have to meet for affordability of home ownership.
Okay, so eventually everybody should begin to feel this prosperity in their pockets just a little bit more. It may just take a little time.
That's certainly our goal. And you know, we've been 65 years making this situation. We need to be a little bit patient with ourselves about getting out of it. But I think, you know, if we look back on the last 6 years and what's happened, it's not too hard to imagine 6 years from now everybody's feeling a lot better about this place.
Let's talk a bit about the job situation and unemployment rate.
We have jobs. We have jobs that are having to be recruited for fulfillment nationwide, unfortunately. I think our problem is workforce readiness. We have a lot of people who could use those jobs who are not adequately trained or prepared to get or take advantage of them. And the Chamber of Commerce is acutely aware of this. In fact, they have a whole initiative they've started to try to improve this workforce development. It's a big thing, and we're glad they're doing it because we don't have to concentrate all of our efforts on that as city government. There are a lot of partners out there who are willing to do this, and Trenum Tech and a lot of our local educational institutions are going to help. So it's something we need to concentrate on. It's vital for our economy. You know, if we want to attract another Hyundai-sized industry, we have to be able to demonstrate that, you know, we've got the people who can produce quality product for you.
So that's where education works hand in hand with growing the economy. Oh, great. And we also have a number of immigrants coming into the area as well. How is that affecting the economy?
Well, they're doing a lot of work that other people can't or won't do. It's an interesting phenomenon that's occurring all over this state. And I know when we were doing the baseball stadium parking lots, we had a serious workplace injury from an immigrant from Guatemala. And not all of these people are coming from Latin America. We've had a number of people move here from places like New Orleans. When we were doing our downtown plan, we had a hands-on design session at the Lockhart Gym on the ASU campus. And one of the people who came for that and volunteered to be a team leader is a gentleman from New Orleans. He teaches mathematics, looking for work in that. So we're getting a lot of new people from some surprising places. And immigration is one of the things that will kind of help keep a place alive and very vital. The most vibrant, healthy economies worldwide are the ones that are the most diverse. And they're the places that really attract tourism. They attract a lot of things, and we've got a good chance to become that on our own right here in Montgomery.
Okay, with things going as they are right now, it looks like our economy is overall pretty strong.
It is. The mayor was just in New York City getting a bond rating on the education bonds they're selling to support rebuilding the physical structure of our public school system. And the feedback he got was really good. Montgomery's in good financial shape. In fact, we have the best bond rating in the whole state right now. We can borrow money cheaper than any other place in the state. And it's good, careful management that's done that, and our good economy that underlies all of this that gives us hope of maintaining that.
Okay, Ken Grove, thank you for taking time out of your busy day.
Thanks for having me.
And coming to be with us today and
Glad
just bringing us up to speed on the economy
Thank you.
in Montgomery. Well, our time is up for this week's Joy in Our Town, and we hope you'll join us again next week at the same time. We'll be right here. We'll see you then. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Joy in Our Town this week. I'm Aaron Motley. Joy in Our Town brings you information regarding the issues and problems we face in our local communities in hopes of finding some solutions. On the first portion of our program today, we're going to be talking about crime, and we have with us Carol Gunlock, and she is the Executive Director of the Alabama Coalition Against Domestic Violence. She's here today to talk to us about a policy packet for managers on how to handle domestic violence in the workplace. Thank you so much for being with us on the program today. This is a very interesting topic here, and first of all, before we get into talking about this packet for managers, let's talk about, first of all, defining what domestic violence really is. People have a misconception of that in most cases.
Very often they do. People very often think of domestic violence as being just about the physical injuries, and of course that is certainly part of it. But domestic violence broadly is a whole pattern of coercive and controlling behaviors whereby one person in a relationship tries to control and to have power over another person in a relationship. And so it can include the physical violence, certainly, but it can include things like not letting someone have access to the bank account, taking their paycheck away from them, keeping them from being able to work, which we're going to talk more about here. It can involve things like using the children, threatening them, manipulating them, just all kinds of behaviors that we see one person, usually male, unfortunately, but not always, use in a relationship to get the other person really to do what they want.
Wow. So we find that this is, like you said, it's a controlling issue, and most of us would not be comfortable in a situation where someone is that hard on us and controlling everything we do, because we're humans. We're not supposed to be controlled by one another. We can be managed. We can, you know, but to control, and that's a very uncomfortable situation to be in.
Yes, and often very dangerous.
Very dangerous as well. And so in such a situation, of course, that's going to be hard for a person to go to their jobs, to go to to go to school, to go wherever, and to just function in life, because they're, you know, under so much pressure. And that's really where you guys come in, right?
That is where we come in. One of the things we know about the behavior of people who are abusive is that they work very hard to keep their victims from being able to be economically independent, because obviously if someone is able to make it on their own financially, it helps them be able to leave the relationship. And so all the batterer's behavior is designed to tie their victim into that relationship and to make it hard for them to leave. And so that means that we see abusers who do things like destroy people's school books so that they can't continue going to school, who will take the distributor cap off the car so that the person cannot go to work, who will try to get their victim fired from her job so that she's dependent on him financially. And we see all of these things happening all the time.
Do you have any reasons or found out something from some of the people who have maybe been formerly a controlling type person, and they may have overcome that and perhaps have gone on and learned how to handle situations better? Maybe they've given some idea as to why they were doing this.
Well, battering is learned behavior, and that we know that people, you know, children do what children see. And people who have grown up in violent homes, who have seen their mother or other family members be abused, very often become abusers themselves. Now, the good news is that learned behavior can be unlearned. And so one of the things that we really support is getting people who have abusive tendencies into good, certified, well-run batterers intervention programs very early in their career as batterers. It's hard behavior to break, but it can be broken, and there are a few success stories.
Okay, wonderful. Tell us about the organization that you're in and its goals.
Well, we are a network of all the domestic violence shelters in the state. There are 20 domestic violence shelters across Alabama. Every county in the state is served by one of our member programs. Here in Montgomery, I'm sure people are very familiar with the Family Sunshine Center, which is a wonderful agency, and they serve Montgomery and some of the surrounding counties, and they're a member of the coalition. What my office does is we do not do direct services to victims. That's done by the Sunshine Center and the other shelter programs. Instead, my office job is to do what we call public policy work. That means that we go to the legislature and try to get them to write good laws, and then we work with state agencies and local agencies to get them to implement good policies and practices on how they would handle domestic violence. We do a lot of training. Just about everybody who will hold still for us, we will do training for on domestic violence. And we try to educate the public and you know, people who are in leadership roles about what they can do to combat domestic violence in their, you know, in their professional lives.
And y'all been doing this for how long?
The coalition has been around since 1978, and we've had staff working there since about 1990. We have about 14 employees and an office here in Montgomery and an office in Birmingham.
Okay. Now this new innovative program for having a policy packet for managers, maybe business owners, I guess. What does it include?
Okay. It is model policies and some recommended practices for the business community. And we define business very broadly because, of course, while people think of the for-profit entities, there are nonprofits, there are government agencies that are, businesses also, and that have people who work for them. And these are recommendations for the business community on the effects of domestic violence on their workplace, and some of the things they can do when they have a victim who is an employee or when they have a perpetrator who is an employee of their business, and some of the ways that both by helping the victim and holding the perpetrator accountable, they can also help their business run more smoothly and more efficiently.
Okay. Now, say for many, many years, people have run businesses and they have managed and supervised people who may have been in a domestic violence situation and perhaps misunderstood what their situation was, because that person may feel like they can't talk to their supervisors about their situation, or it's just something that's taboo. And so now you all are making it easier. Are these packets available for anybody, anywhere?
Anybody in the world who wants one. They can call our office. It's here in Montgomery, 832-4842, and we will drop one in the mail to you. We were able to print these with a very generous contribution from Verizon Wireless. They have been a wonderful corporate partner of ours, and we will send these out until they're gone, because we want them in the hands of employers.
Is it a good idea for that employer then to maybe hold a meeting with the staff and say, we have these packets, I've been trained, I know how to handle it, you can come to me? I mean, is this the ideal thing to do?
I think that is very useful. It's also very useful to simply have a poster or a brochures, or what we print little business cards with the state hotline number on it, to have those around their place of business. That can be useful both for their customers and for their employees, and sends a message that this business cares about domestic violence and about victims and wants to be helpful. Sometimes that subtle message has more weight than having someone sit down and say, come to me for help.
Very good. There are, I'm sure, some things in those packets and in the training that you would say to a person in leadership as to how to look for certain signs that maybe a person could be in an abusive situation. Can you just name just some of the things right now? What can a person look for?
And it can vary with the type of employment, but one of the things that we see happen a lot is you will have an employee and she keeps getting repeated telephone calls from her husband or her boyfriend, her significant other, and he just calls her all day long. And the employer says to her, you've got to tell him to quit calling you, or I'm going to fire you, because we can't have this disrupted. Or similarly, if, say, in a restaurant, and we have seen this happen, a woman is working in a restaurant, she's waiting tables, and her boyfriend or husband comes and he'll just sit in that restaurant all day long. And again, the employer will say to her, you got to make him leave. The problem here is that she does not have any power to make him not call or to make him leave, because he has all the power in the relationship, and he may in fact be trying to get her fired. Batterers are often very jealous, and so they may want to keep tabs on their victim just to make sure that she's not cheating on them, with somebody that she's met at work. And that's the reason they're hanging around or calling repeatedly. So what can an employer do in a case like this? Well, one thing the employer can do is make arrangements for someone else to take the calls, so that the batterer can't get through to her, and that she is simply given a message that he is called, and that she can call back whenever fits into the workday most appropriately. An employer can himself say to someone that, I'm sorry, it's not appropriate for you to be on the job site, and you're going to need to leave now, as opposed to telling her to get him to leave. And one of the things an employer always can do is help her find the services she needs to develop a safety plan, to get some counseling, maybe to get some legal help if she needs it, and to find safe shelter if that's what she needs. And any of the domestic violence shelters in the state would be more than glad to have an employer give someone who works for them the telephone number and some information about how to contact that local shelter.
It's the least an employer could do to help someone to show, look, we care in this business, and instead of getting rid of a good employee, we want to keep you,
That's
but
right.
we want things to work out where you can be comfortable coming to work.
That's right.
And okay, great. Also, I mean, do we see this as a growing problem in our area?
We actually don't know whether the problem is getting better or worse because we don't have baseline statistics. When we track domestic violence, what we're really looking at are police statistics. And for many years, it first of all wasn't a crime. There wasn't warrantless arrest, so the police had to wait till the victim searched for a warrant. And the police were taught to not respond by making arrests. Well, all that's changed.
I see.
So we're seeing arrests go way up.
Okay.
But the good news is we're seeing homicides go down.
Okay.
And so what we think we're doing is we are saving lives.
Okay, wonderful. Give a quick phone number if somebody needs to get in touch.
Okay, 1-800-650-6522. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there's always a trained advocate on the other end of that line.
Okay, Ms. Carolyn Gunlock.
Gunlock.
Get that right. Thank you for being with us
Delighted.
on the program today.
Just delighted.
And it's just been very, very helpful and informative. Thank you for being with us. We'll be back in just a moment with more of Joy in Our Town right after this. Back to this portion of Joy in Our Town. We're going to be talking about health on this segment, and we have with us Miriam Gaines, and she is the Director of Nutrition and Physical Activity. She's going to talk to us today about problems associated with obesity and also scaling back Alabama. We thank you for being with us on the program today.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk about what Scale Back Alabama is all about. And we know from earlier programs and other statistics that we've been hearing is that Alabama is really in kind of a bad situation when it comes down to weight problems. And we're going to talk some more about that. So tell us really, what are you seeing statistic-wise as far as Alabama and the overweight problems?
Well, depending on what report you listen to, we have been rated as the second largest state because of our weight, not our size, but our second largest state, or either the fifth. Either way you look, second or fifth, we're one of the fattest states there are. And the problem with that is if you look at the numbers, we have about 65% of us in Alabama who need to lose weight. That's a lot of people. And when you look even closer at that number, 29%, almost 29%, are what we consider obese.
Wow. When these kind of reports started coming out really just a few years ago, have we seen any improvements at all? Are Alabamians getting the message?
Well, actually, thank you for asking. We are slowly seeing, now we have not seen a decrease in our numbers, no, but what we are seeing is a leveling off. So the fact that we're not gaining weight as fast as the other states around us is very important, and we're glad to see that.
Okay, and so we can, I guess, because of the fact that there is some some knowledge out there now, some information that's going out that we are now beginning to do something about it. Do most people seem to want to lose weight because of cosmetic reasons or because of health?
We did a survey from the health department because we wondered that same thing. And we were afraid that people wanted to lose weight so that they would look good in their clothes or that they would be more attractive. The number one reason was so I can see my children grow up or my grandchildren grow up. And then the second highest along that line was because they wanted to take care of themselves. So I was very pleased to see that Alabama was not so
just caught up in how do we look.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That we had a deeper meaning about us and that we wanted to see our children grow up. And we knew we had to be healthy in order to see our children grow up and enjoy them.
So what are we going to have to do? Everybody's saying, well, eat right and exercise. Eat right and exercise. Is there anything else any easier than that?
It's not an easy solution.
Okay.
One thing you have to realize is that you didn't wake up overweight, so you're not going to wake up skinny. And the people that promise you the 10 and 15 pounds in a week, they're not really being very realistic, and that's not a very safe way to do it. What we're promoting is simple changes that are lifestyle changes. For instance, parking further away instead of parking right up at the door, taking the stairs, not the elevator. Simple things that you can do every day. Only one serving of food on your plate. Don't go back for seconds and thirds. Push away from the table, in other words.
A discipline situation. That's the D word that we don't want to deal with. But that's really what it's all about, isn't it?
Right, and a lot of people will still ask me, well, give me a diet, I want to lose weight. Well, you know, I can give you a diet and you will lose weight, but when you come off of a diet, you're going to gain the weight back. But if you make it a lifestyle, it'll be a habit with you that will stay with you. Now, some people really need help in deciding what those changes are. We encourage people to drink skim milk. We say, put back that sweet tea. That's a hard one for a lot of people. We'll say put down that cola, pick up milk, and pick up water to drink. The skim milk is very important for us. Other people will say, well, how do I know what to eat? A simple thing is to put half of the vegetables on your plate and let the other half of your plate be the meat and the starch. So there's some nutrition principles in there, but a lot of it is a behavior.
Yeah. Now you talk about the things to drink. Now, yes, in the South we want our sweet tea. I mean, no joke about that. But you're talking about milk. What about soy milk and soy products? How are those recommended?
Soy products can be a great source, and we are trying to get people to get some soy in their diet. So soy products or soy milk is a great. The only thing I have to say a caution about that is some of your soy milks will put sugar in it. Because the soy milk tastes so differently than the normal milk, and so the manufacturers are trying to make it taste a little bit better. So just be very careful and read those labels. Now, the studies that were done with weight loss, though, they were done on cow's milk. So whether soy milk helps you lose weight as well as the cow's milk, I don't know that answer. I haven't seen that study. But soy milk is a good source of good nutrition if you decide that that's the way you want to go. Okay,
and most people would go that direction because of their lactose, I believe, intolerant, and so that's one of the reasons why. Other things to look at now would be like the sugars and sugar substitutes. Most people are really moving back away from some of these sugar substitutes because many of them are causing other diseases like cancer and so forth. Will there be anything that you could recommend as far as how to sweeten foods?
We recommend that you go as natural with the food as you can. And using the fruit is a great way to have a natural sweetener. For example, instead of having a real sweet chocolate cake with chocolate icing, what we would say is, oh, you're missing out on the sweetness of the pear. Some pear with a little bit of cinnamon on it is a great alternative. And what you find is when you get away from all these processed, real sugary type foods, your taste buds will change. And if you go back to that sweet dessert, you're going to say, whoa, that is so sweet. How did I eat that?
And that's what's happening with a lot of folks I'm hearing who have been away from it for a long period of time. Even I'm thinking about not drinking sodas for so long. Right now, and this is almost my 3rd year going on.
Good for you.
And I don't miss it. And I think this is, one of the things people begin to realize is that when you start forming new habits, you begin to realize, well, you don't even miss the things that you used to do. And you talking about this Scale Back Alabama.
Right.
How is that working out, and what are people going to do as far as that's concerned?
Well, there is a web page, www.scalebackalabama.
Okay.
That is a program that the Hospital Association and the Health Department and Barber's Milk decided to go together and do this program. What has been so exciting, when we were first planning this, we thought we would be lucky to have 100, 200 teams. We have over 4,000 teams statewide. So we are so pleased that so many people are interested in becoming healthier. Because even though this is an emphasis on weight loss, it's still that underlying message of do healthy lifestyle changes. So if you are participating with us in Scale Back, then you would be getting messages from the Scale Back webpage. There are classes on the Alabama Department of Public Health's website. You can go to our training page and look at the webcast, and you can see that we have different classes for Scale Back that you can click and watch on your computer at any time that you want to.
Wonderful.
So we're excited that people are really interested.
Good. Hopefully get the word out real good all over the place so people will take advantage of that. What would be the overall goal for Scale Back Alabama?
Well, I believe we said 10 million pounds. That was just, we were thinking about different things and how much they weigh, and I believe that's how much Vulcan weighs.
Okay.
But it's also, that would be if everybody in the state who was overweight lost 10 pounds, that would be a lot of weight. Our goal is that the people that lose the weight will keep the weight off.
Okay.
Now that's the underlying message. Just like I said before, anybody can lose weight, not anybody can keep it off.
Right.
And that's the catch.
Right. And so Alabamians have really got to make a lot of habit changes and lots of lifestyle changes.
But you know, we do need to make a lot, you're right, a lot of habit changes. But the nice thing about it is they're small changes. The small changes will add up to be a healthy lifestyle.
Right. And so we're not making this thing really, really difficult for people, making them think, well, everybody's got to join the gym and everybody's got to, just stop eating and this kind of thing, starve yourself. So it's not a very hard thing. It's just to show that you can live your life and enjoy life without all of those extra pounds.
Exactly. You want your body to be healthy, right?
Healthy is the way to go, and not, again, just, thinking health-wise and not just how do I look.
And the thing about that I would say to adults is that we need to be so careful because our children are watching us. Yeah. And we need to be good role models in what we're selecting and the healthy things that we choose so that our children will follow us.
What are some of the diseases we're seeing with children who are obese?
We are seeing adult-type diseases in our children. We have children with hypertension. We have children with high cholesterol. We have children that have heart problems already.
Wow.
We have children that have the type 2 diabetes. And a long time ago, type 2 was an adult-only disease.
Yeah.
So we're seeing the same chronic diseases in children that we do as adults. The problem is they're going to have it for a much longer time so that they will be looking at a sicker elder life.
Wow. And it's starting as young as what?
Elementary school.
So we have to make some changes there too.
We do.
And our kids need to get out and start playing more instead of sitting there in front of a TV and a computer, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Physical activity is very important.
Okay, well, it's time for us to make some changes in Alabama, and we're going to move from down at the bottom and go up a lot higher.
Good.
Get to the top. I hope so. Okay. We thank you for joining us this week for Joy in Our Town, and we hope you will join us again next week at the same time for more valuable information. We'll see you then.